We've got some sort of gentlemanly coup going on at the moment,
Emily
with
Thornberry,
people in the home counties deciding who the next Prime Minister
Thornberry,
should be.
did you watch the Panorama programme on anti-Semitism?
I did.
And what did you feel about it?
I thought it was awful.
The programme was awful, or the revelations were awful?
Both, I think. But more importantly, the revelations. And more importantly, the fact that this has been going on for a very long time, and despite the efforts of our new General Secretary and the fact that she has improved processes and she has done a lot of work on it, it still has not been sorted out. We
watched testimony during that one from former members of the party staff, young people often, very, very upset indeed. Do you regard them as credible witnesses?
I think that we shouldn't be going for the messengers, we should be looking at the message. I think that is what is important.
Which is not what the Labour Party has said about this. The Labour Party has said there are already lots of Labour MPs who are talking to us saying they want to help us over the line. It appears that these are former disaffected officials who have both personal and political axes to grind. This throws into doubt their credibility as sources. Do you agree with that?
I can understand that, and I understand that the Labour Party has concerns, and you know the Labour Party has put in a complaint about the way in which that programme was done. My point is something different, which is nobody can pretend that there isn't an ongoing problem within the Labour Party about anti-Semitism, about our processes for dealing with it. Okay. And I think it's it's fair to say that Panorama didn't really look at the way in which we'd improved our processes, but I don't pretend that they're perfect, because they're not. Yeah. And that's why I think
it's not just I would say it's not just the BBC. This is going on and on. The Sunday Times has another whistleblower, Tim Dexter, this morning. Can we just hear a little bit of what he said?
Yeah.
Within an average week, we would see dozens, if not hundreds, of complaints of anti-Semitism being received by the party. Sometimes this could be the most vile, disgusting of things, where people were openly talking about the Holocaust, how it wasn't a bad thing, how it was deserved. The power to make initial decisions on cases lay with the disputes team. That power was taken away from the disputes team into the hands of an individual person. On a number of occasions, or quite regular basis, you'd see decisions, when they did come back, seem to be incredibly lenient.
He's a member of your disputes team, or was. Do you accept what he's saying?
Some of the disputes, some of the complaints will have been complaints from me. I mean, I'm not Jewish, but I get a lot of abuse as well, and I report it. I mean, you know, my children are of Jewish heritage. I hate the fact that they have friends who say we cannot support Labour in current circumstances.
And on it goes. That's the trouble. Another of the former investigations officers, Dan Hogan, has said Labour MPs, and he's talking about people like you, need to have a much firmer stance on this and demand that people are held accountable. This means senior Corbyn aides are removed from their positions. Heads need to roll.
I don't want to personalise this, because I think this issue is more important than a soap opera. I think that the Labour Party has to deal with this issue. And frankly, I welcome the fact that it's a shame and a disgrace that the Equalities and Human Rights Commission have been brought in to look at the Labour Party, but they have, and I think we should now welcome it. And I think we should open our doors up, and we should say to them, right, we have been trying to improve our processes. Clearly, it's still not working. Can you help us? And if we can set up, as a result of working with them, and I know that they're listening to us, and I know that we're listening to them, hang on, if we can set up a process that is tough and that works and that is an example of good practice, I actually kind of think that would be, that at least would be a good result. Well, and other parties, perhaps, who also have problems with racism, might look to it as an example of good practice.
Well, let's turn to exactly what that might mean. Yeah. Would you support a change in the structures to allow a completely independent unit inside the Labour Party, independent of the leader's office, to look at anti-Semitism allegations? Because that's what it means.
I have been saying since Shami Chakrabarti came out with her report during the time of the previous General Secretary, where she said you needed to have an independent process, and independent of politicians, we needed to have a quasi-judicial process, and unfortunately those recommendations were not implemented in full fast enough, and that, I think, is one of the reasons we are in the state that we're in now. I think that report was traduced by too many groups groups who didn't really look at what it was that she was saying. And if we had done that then, we wouldn't necessarily be in the mess we are in now.
I understand all of that, but just to be clear, you would support an independent unit to look at these allegations?
I would support whatever the Equalities and Human Rights Commission comes out with as recommendations, and we need to hear what it is that they say, and we need them to work with us.
Have you read the Labour Party's response to the Commission?
No, I haven't.
Do you think you should read it? Do you think you should be given it to read?
I think the trouble is that we have again, this is part of our structure and it would be interesting to look at it, but we have the shadow cabinet that deals with the politics, national politics, and we have the National Executive Committee that deals with the party. I'm not on the National Executive Committee, which is why I've not been given a copy of it.
Tom Watson thinks that the shadow cabinet should read it as well. He's been engaged in what has become an extraordinary war of words at the top of the party. Swear words cast all around, people getting very, very angry. Jenny, formerly the General Secretary, particularly angry. This is what she said to Tom Watson recently. She said, by choosing to ignore the steps taken by the party and commenting so uncritically about the Panorama programme, you are complicit in creating a perception that anti-Semitism is more prevalent in the Labour Party. Do you think that she's complicit in that?
I wish he wasn't attacking somebody who's going through chemotherapy. I think that is a mistake. She's the General Secretary of the Labour Party, but we know that she's very ill. I think it's completely inappropriate to personalise this. That is my point. And
Len McCluskey called him an effing disgrace.
I know.
Do you agree with that?
I think that Len and Tom and Jenny have a great deal of history, and we are not talking soap opera. I don't care, I'm afraid, about the soap opera. I actually care about the fact that I have a Jewish member of staff who, when she goes to family weddings, can't say who she works for. Even though I fight on this issue a lot, she cannot admit who she works for or what she does because she doesn't want to spend the rest of the day defending herself. I don't want that. I want us to sort this out.
But for goodness sake, this has gone on for 2 years now. Why is it not being sorted out? Who's responsible?
I think that it is there's a large number of reasons for this, and we could spend quite a long time about it. I think that we didn't follow Shami's recommendations, and we should have. I think that you didn't understand the importance of quasi-judicial processes. I think that people also, on the one hand, they say there shouldn't be political interference, and then they say Jeremy Corbyn should sort this out, which obviously there's a contradiction in that. If we had a process that was robust, that was properly funded, I mean, it is better. It's 4 times faster than it used to be. So we have come a long way, but I'm afraid we still need to go much further.
One last thing I must ask you about Sir Kim Darroch.